Earlier this week, it was announced that the FTC is going to be investigating loot boxes because of the way that it simulates gambling or gambling-like activities, especially in those who suffer from gambling addiction. And now I've said this before in previous videos, but especially now it bears repeating. The ESA, the body, the self-regulatory body that was created to keep the government out of video games, has fucking failed on a massive level. I believe that this, more than anything else, should be used as a reason to get rid of the ESA. It no longer serves its purpose. It has become an organization that just does whatever it can to survive and to use its own power and influence. It doesn't protect gaming anymore. It just furthers its own agenda. And its own agenda is keeping themselves alive. I believe a fair comparison to make to the ESA and the ESRB is the Comics Code Authority, the granddaddy of all self-regulatory organizations. Now, I'm comparing them in the fact that they are self-regulatory and made by the industry that was warned, if you don't regulate yourself, we will regulate you. But they're a bit polar opposite in how they at least initially started. The CCA started as sort of a moral authoritarian organization during the height of the satanic panic, the 50s to 70s. And they were basically to keep the image of comics squeaky clean so that no one could ever complain about them. Whereas the ESA and the ESRB were made to be more of a rules, regulation, rating system, and for the purpose of trying to just keep everything in check and essentially be a video game lobbying group, if you will. And over the years, I think that the comparison to the Comics Code Authority has become more and more accurate because especially on the ESRB side of things, they have become more moral. A lot of their ratings depend on how they morally view something. It's been shown time and again, there is no actual standard for how they rate things. It's just how I feel in the moment. And I understand a lot of ratings and a lot of how severe something is or how tame something is a matter of opinion. When you have so many cases that are just beyond ridiculous, rating a Super Smash Bros. Game T, or an even better example, Hatred got an AO rating. Hatred, the game, if you ever played it, is tame by any standard. Oh, well, it's about a mass murder game. And yet every Call of Duty, every Grand Theft Auto only gets an M rating. The only reason Hatred got an AO rating was because of the reputation behind it. That's it. It did nothing to warrant an AO rating. It did a lot less than what those other two games that I just said do, and yet they get off fine with an M. Hell, the ESRB has done this just to show that they can for a long time. Manhunt 2 got an AO rating for extreme violence, even though it was the same as Manhunt 1, to the point where Rockstar had to actually go back and take out some things just to get them to bring it down to an M. That entire fiasco was basically just the ESRB showing that they can exert their muscle whenever they want, even to big companies like Rockstar. Especially in the digital day and age, the ESRB is becoming less and less relevant. You don't need... The reason that the rating system exists as it is because stores require a rating on a game in order to shelve it. Digital stores, they don't give a shit. Steam, GOG, whatever else. They do not need ratings. There are so many games that are released on these platforms that have not gone through the ESRB, and there's no question about it. There's no problem. It's only physical copies that need these, and even then, I think that we are starting to see away with that, either because physical copies are becoming less and less common, unfortunately, or because they just realize this doesn't really matter anymore. But now, thanks to the FTC coming in, I think now is the perfect time to get rid of the ESA and restructure everything. Get a new organization, get a new ratings group, or protective body, or whatever you want to call it, and redo everything. Because as it is, the ESA serves, at best, no purpose. At worst, they are shills to the mega corporations. The reason this is even happening in the first place right now is because effectively the mega corporations, your EA, your Ubisoft, your WB, they paid off the ESA to look the other way, to not even give a shit about the loot boxes. The ESA, if they actually gave a crap, could have done something. They could have reined this in, but they didn't. They didn't want to, because they knew where their friends were. And now we're in this giant mess. One way or another, the ESA, but especially the ESRB, are going to come crashing down. It's either going to be a restructuring needs to happen, or digital, which is going to eventually completely replace physical. As much as I don't like that concept, it's going to happen. Digital will make the ESRB completely obsolete, so it will be gone from that. I will honestly be shocked if the ESRB lasts for 10 years. I figure by then we'll have gone full digital, at the rate that we're progressing anyway. And then they will just be just a side note on gaming history. I'd like to be wrong. I'd like to see a restructuring. I'd like to, even if they just keep the same name, just get rid of everyone that's in it right now and redo it from the ground up. Get people that actually give a shit about the industry, not that are looking for connections, that are using this as a power trip, that are just trying to make money from this. I want to see gaming as a whole get better. And much like the Comics Code Authority to the comics industry, I feel the ESA and the ESRB are holding us back now. And they need to fix themselves or go. Whichever one it needs to happen. This has been Math Machine just ranting that, oh boy, the government is coming for our video games. What fun. It's 1990 all over again. Fuck. Peace out.